Can I eat your cucumber head?
Your head na cucumber. Wetin be this?
Stop it!
The people of Coca village were hard-working farmers. From sunrise to sunset, you would see men and women on their farms, bending over crops, singing work songs, and wiping sweat from their faces. They grew yam, big and heavy inside the soil. They grew cassava, long and strong under the ground. They grew maize, standing tall like soldiers in the wind. They grew many vegetables that filled the village market with life and color. But among all the farms in Coca village, one farm was different. That farm belonged to Santana's family. They were known for one special thing: cucumbers. Not just ordinary cucumbers you see anywhere. Santana's family cucumbers were big and long. Their skin was deep fresh green. When you cut them open, water would almost drip out. They were crisp, sweet, and very fresh. People believed their cucumbers carried a blessing from the land. Because of this, people came from far villages, even places Santana had never heard of, just to buy them. On market days, the air was always loud with voices. Traders would shout, "Come and buy the best cucumbers in all the villages. These cucumbers are fresh like morning rain. They are sweet and full of water. If you don't buy now, you will regret it." People would crowd Santana's family stand. Money would exchange hands quickly. Baskets would empty fast. And while people praised the cucumbers, nobody praised Santana. No one looked at her and said, "Santana, you are beautiful. Santana, you are special. Santana, you are enough just the way you are." People would take cucumbers from her hands, but never look into her eyes. At first, Santana tried to ignore it. But words have power. And silence also has power. Slowly, day by day, market by market, Santana started believing something dangerous. She started believing she was nothing. Santana worked harder than almost everyone in the village. Before the sun came out, she was already awake. While others were still sleeping, she was tying her wrapper, carrying her hoe, and walking to the farm. She planted cucumbers carefully, one seed at a time, pressing the soil gently like she was tucking a child into bed. She watered the plants every day, even when the sun was hot and burning her skin. Even when her back ached. Even when her hands were rough and tired. When weeds tried to grow, she removed them. When insects came, she protected the plants. When rain refused to fall, she carried water herself. When harvest time came, she picked each cucumber carefully so it would not get bruised. She carried heavy baskets on her head to the market. Sometimes her neck hurt. Sometimes her legs shook. But she never complained. But when buyers came to the market, they did not look at Santana. They only looked at the cucumbers. They would say, "Wow! See how big this one is. This one is perfect. These are the best cucumbers in this region." Not one person said, "You worked hard. You are strong. You are kind. You are beautiful." Not one. Slowly, something heavy began to grow inside Santana's heart. Maybe I am not beautiful. Maybe I am not special. Maybe I am just the girl who grows cucumbers. And that thought stayed with her, even when she smiled, even when she worked, even when she tried to be strong. One evening, Santana was still working on the farm long after other farmers had gone home. The sky was slowly turning orange and purple. The sun was going down behind the tall trees. Birds were flying back to their nests. The wind started blowing softly, carrying the smell of wet soil and green leaves. Santana's body was very tired. Her back hurt. Her hands were rough from work. Her legs felt heavy like stones. But she kept working. Finally, she could not continue. She dropped her basket. She slowly sat down on the ground between the cucumber plants. The leaves touched her arms. The soil was cold under her hands. And suddenly, all the strength inside her broke. Tears filled her eyes. Then she started crying. Not small crying. Deep crying from her chest. She thought about the market. She thought about people praising the cucumbers. She thought about how nobody ever praised her. Then, in a weak voice, she whispered to the empty farm. I wish I was a cucumber. I want to be a cucumber. Everyone loves my cucumbers. But nobody loves me. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then suddenly, the wind blew hard. Very hard. The cucumber leaves shook loudly. The trees in the forest bent and groaned. Dust rose from the ground. The air felt strange, heavy, alive. Deep inside the forest, the spirits had heard her words. But Santana did not know. She was too tired, too sad, too empty inside. After some time, the wind stopped. The farm became quiet again. Santana wiped her tears. She stood up slowly. Her legs were shaking. She picked her basket and walked home under the dark sky. That night, she slept deeply. She did not dream. The next morning, sunlight entered her room. Santana woke up slowly. She stretched her hand to touch her face. Then she stopped. Something felt wrong. Her skin felt cold, smooth, hard in some places. Her heart started beating fast. She jumped up from her bed. She ran to the small mirror hanging on the wall. She looked and screamed. A loud, sharp scream that shook the house. Her head was a cucumber. Long, green, shiny, cold like morning dew. Santana fell to the floor crying. And outside, the morning birds stopped singing. When people first saw Santana, they were shocked. Then slowly, some people started laughing. Loud laughter that made Santana's heart hurt. Women whispered behind her back. Men shook their heads and pointed at her. Some people covered their mouths but still laughed. Children were the worst. They followed her on the road, clapping their hands and singing. Cucumber head. Cucumber head. Green face girl. Cucumber head. They ran behind her like it was a game. Some threw small stones near her feet. Some danced around her, laughing. Santana tried to walk fast. But the faster she walked, the louder they sang. Some adults refused to stand near her. In the market, if she came close, people moved away. Some refused to buy anything from her family again. Some said she was cursed. Some people mocked her openly. Maybe she is half vegetable now. Maybe she will grow leaves next. Who will marry cucumber woman? Their words were like sharp knives. Every evening, Santana locked herself inside her room. Every night, she cried. She cried until her chest hurt. She cried until her throat was dry. She cried until she had no tears left. She stopped going to the market. She stopped talking to people. She stopped looking into mirrors. Slowly, loneliness wrapped around her like darkness. Then one night, while lying alone, she finally understood something painful. Something deep. Being loved for what you grow. Being loved for what you give. Being loved for what you produce. Is not the same as being loved for who you are. And for the first time, Santana realized she had never truly felt loved as herself. And that pain was deeper than any curse. One night, Santana had a dream. She stood in the forest. A bright light appeared. The forest goddess spoke. You wished to become what people loved. Now you have become it. But are you happy? Santana cried and said, No. Then the river goddess said, You forgot to love yourself. No one can love you more than you love yourself. No one can see your beauty if you cannot see it first. Santana's heart ached as she listened. She had wanted love so badly that she had wished to become something that people admired. And in doing so, she had lost herself. The goddess told her the way she could change back. But know this, said goddess. You can only return to your human form if you make a promise. The river goddess added, You must make an oath. To love yourself. To value yourself. To see your own beauty. Santana nodded through her tears, her voice trembling. I promise. I will love myself. I will value myself. I will see my beauty. Santana woke up shaking. She ran to the mirror. Her head was normal again. She cried, but this time tears of joy. For the first time in a long time, she felt herself again. Not just the girl who grew cucumbers. Not just the girl everyone mocked. She was Santana, proud, strong, and alive. From that day, Santana walked with her head held high. She no longer hid behind her wrapper or her shy smile. She greeted people with confidence. She worked on the farm with her chest lifted. And slowly, people began to notice. They noticed her kindness. They noticed her strength. They noticed her smile, her eyes, her laughter. People still loved her cucumbers. But now, they also loved her. And Santana, at last, learned something precious. Being loved for who you are feels far better than being loved for what you grow. Sometimes, the world will celebrate what you produce. But you must celebrate who you are. Because self-love is the first beauty. If you enjoyed Santana's story, share it with someone who needs a reminder to love themselves. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more magical African tales filled with lessons and wonder.